everybody, it's Romania Black, and yeah, I know I'm wearing a Haikyuu shirt, but I felt this was very appropriate today because we are on episodes 3, and we're going to watch episodes 3 and 4 of Ace of the Diamond Act 2 Season 2, and we're on the Yakushi and Ichidai game, and I have a sinking suspicion it's going to end in episode 3, and episode 4 is going to be a transition to the semifinals, so grabbing the victory seemed like an appropriate context for this episode because I didn't want to wear a Yakushi uniform because even though I'm rooting for Yakushi and they are like one of my favorite teams, I also really like Amahisa and Ichidai, so it's like, I feel like the woman holding the sign that's like, I just hope they both have fun. That's how I feel going into this episode. And I have a couple comments from Patreon that I want to share with you all. So far, episodes 1 and 2 has not aired on YouTube as I'm recording this, so I'm super excited to see the comments for those episodes as well as this one. Please feel free to comment. Please feel free to talk about the series. It's like at this point I can't really be spoiled except for what I know happens in the manga that may or may not happen in the anime. I don't want to know that, but otherwise I'm super excited. So Kelsey and Zero Anti-Zero have been along with Shimoyama and a couple others, have been two of the biggest patrons over in the Discord for Ace of the Diamond for years. So super appreciative of contributing to the conversations and fan art and everything with those series, and for getting other patrons like my moderator Be Happy to watch the series as well. So, and Kelsey had a pretty long comment that I want to go over with you all, and then Zero Anti-Zero had a large comment too that I've cherry-picked from both the things I want to talk about, so we'll just dive into Zero Anti-Zero's first, saying the absolute peak scenes for me were when Sawamura asked Miyuki about the gyro spin. His face, classic. And when Okamura caught Sawamura texting Amahisa. Like, dude, you've left Wakana unread for 20 years, but you pull your phone out for Amahisa? No wonder Okamura thinks you're cheating. Wakana catching the strays. If the girl just started talking about pitching strategies, would have solved a lot of problems. But you know what? I love the theory we developed in season 1 that Wakana's going to end up with Kuramochi, that Kuramochi's going to be like, hey, since you're not talking to her, I'm going to. And I fully support that. Speaking of Okamura, in your discussion, you mentioned the similarity between Furuya gravitating towards Miyuki as a catcher to Okamura gravitating towards Sawamura as a pitcher. And that triggered an idea in my head. Okufuru ship? Look, I see the vision. Support the vision. I told Zero that usually I am a fan of like sunshine character A and super serious character B because I like the contrast, I like the foil, but I also kind of like two characters that have a very commonality with them, and in Okamura and Furuya's case, they're like pining and gravitation towards characters near them. So yeah, why not? I feel like to me, it would kind of be like Miyume is kind of similar to Okufuru, but just like with a whole different vibe, a much more chill vibe. So, I don't know. I think that would be cool. I see the vision. I will support most ships. I'm a big fan of the aquatic travel. And then that being said, I'll happily deal with anything involving animation. Otherwise, which we talked about last week, if we're getting a proper season length. Sawamura has a statue, for goodness sake. I know! I remember people telling that, and I think Shimoyama shared a lot of pictures of it in Japan. Like, you would think, with Ace of the Diamond being a very revered series, especially in baseball, that you would be... and maybe the studio, as I'm throwing this to my dog, has a lot of pressure on it to uphold that standard, but you think you'd be, like, pulling out all the stops for a series that's beloved. I don't know. Anyway, I told Kelsey and them I'm not going to talk about the animation anymore really in the reactions unless something really egregious happens. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. But thank you, Zero Anti-Zero. I appreciate the comment. Kelsey said, oh my gosh, the phlegm. The clarifications are, Kelsey had some clarifications they wanted to talk about with episodes 1 and 2. So, they are that even though some of the lines sound weird, no voice actors were changed for this season. Which I thought was interesting. They went on in more detail about it, about them getting older, and that makes sense. You know, it's been 5 or 6 years, so their voices would change. I also want to clarify, they didn't skip the Norikane game last season. They jumped over the Ichidai and Yakushi game to show Sawamura on the mound at the very end of season 3. So when we told you to backpedal at the start of you reading the manga, that's right, it was because we wanted you to watch the Yakushi game. Then they started this season out of order and did Norikane first, and then said 3 days before to go back to Yakushi. I think they just didn't want to feel so fractured with the ending with Sawamura and then starting with Yakushi. Yeah, Zero Anti-Zero talked about this as well. I am pretty glad in the long run with what they did. I remember at the time reading the manga being like, why'd they skip this game? But it makes so much sense if you're ending one season with Sawamura on the mound, about to face Norikane, and then you start with this one. It makes more sense. It works. So Kelsey also says there has been a lot of complaints about the manga content that's missing from these first episodes. And you're right that Urabe did have a big story in the manga. He was the pitcher that started on Seidou and couldn't hang, so he switched schools and had to wait for a year after switching to play, which is why this is such an important game to him. They also skipped some technicals about Sawamura's pitching and how he was pitching high at the beginning of the game, but Miyuki was working with the umpire's slightly high strike zone to make Sawamura's pitching work, and then they settled anyway. It does suck they removed some stuff, including Tomobe, Yakushi's pouty first-year pitcher, throwing the first 2 innings of the game against Ichidai. That one I'm okay with, because I do remember in the manga being like, oh, okay, but, it just felt like a waste. Like, okay, you just goofed up, now get out and get Sonata in. So I'm not mad about that one, but I'm being a little biased. But TJ, the creator, tweeted that he was asked to choose the parts to cut, because all of it couldn't be included. And he says it was heartbreaking as a decision for him, especially because this Yakushi and Ichidai game is in his top 5 favorite games. So I thought, on the one hand, it's heartbreaking to be asked, like, what parts do you want cut? And they have to, like, make it fit within the constructs and the constraints of an anime episode. On the other hand, I'm kind of impressed. It makes sense why they would ask TJ, but I'm kind of impressed. Sometimes people with adaptations do not consult the source material or the creator. They just are like, going to cut and make this work. But the fact that they actually went to him for, like, okay, what do you want us to take out if it were you? That adds a little bit of credibility to it. I mean, I imagine TJ's just like, I had to do this, but at least they asked. At least they didn't just say, oh, cut out this one scene, it's not important. At least it came straight from the creator's mouth, so that's good at least. I consider that a win. It's interesting to me, but understandable that you have so many comments about animation of this season compared to season 3. But compared to season 3, this season's incredible. I think I've blinded myself and blocked out a lot of the animation from season 3, if I'm honest. There were constant still frames during that, and we didn't even get to see the pitchers pitching or the batters swinging. So although it's not perfect, it is a massive improvement from last season, and I'm actually enjoying it a lot so far. Look, it's noticeable for me, but I'm not mad at it. I kind of feel the same way about a season of another sports anime that I talked about last week. It's fine. I would be remiss not to mention it, but it's fine with how it is. I'm not mad at it. I think that I could understand why some people are, and I want to kind of play devil's advocate for that. But on the other hand, if a lot of people are happy with it, then yeah, cool. Why do we have to worry? So anyway, I'm super excited to get in episodes 3 and 4. I have a feeling how episode 3 is going to end. I'm not looking forward to watching that, but at least we have episode 4 to bounce back afterwards. So anyway, we need to get started, but thank you all so much. If you get a chance, please like this video. If you want to see me watch Ace of the Diamond each week, please subscribe to the channel. And thank you everybody on Patreon for all of your support. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, we need to get started. All right, we're going to get started. Now, as you all know, we're going to be watching episode 3. I'm going to skip the ED, and then we're going to jump into episode 4, and then we're going to come back and talk about both of them afterwards. So with that being said, I'm not ready, but we're going to get started with episode 3 of Ace the Diamond Act 2 Season 2, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and whoo, buddy, let's go. Okay. These were great episodes. These were really, really great. Oh man. I knew going in that Yakushi was going to lose, but you just have that hope that maybe they'll change the ending. No, I would not change. It's so wild because I remember when reading the manga for this game, I was so sad that Yakushi lost because I wanted to see Yakushi play Seidou. But in hindsight, looking back, the semifinal is such a good game that I'm like, no, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad anymore. It's the way that it works. And episode 3 especially tied upon some really good themes and things like that. Episode 4, God, I, to be honest with y'all, kind of forgot about all those other games. I feel bad. I feel really bad. I was like, wait, oh yeah, we didn't just immediately go to the semifinals. Inashiro and Ichidai had to face other teams. Oh yeah. And Norikane was just the quarterfinal, was not even the quarterfinals. Like, oh God. Like, just, there's so many games in Koshin that you're just like, so many games that you just kind of get lost in the sauce sometimes. I'm going to talk about the episode. The animation was good. It's like last week. I don't have any alterations, no changes. There were some really good close-up on facial expressions, especially in episode 3 with Amahisa. Ooh, there was some good. When Amahisa, we'll get to it in the screenshots I'm going to show you, but when he has the confrontation with his coach, that was really well animated. Like, I thought that looked really good. And then, of course, they just put all their budget into Raichi's tears. I was like, damn, I didn't cry because I've already seen it in the manga. I knew it was coming. I've emotionally cleansed myself in preparation for this day. So yeah, I was like, no, it's so sad. It's so sad. And then watching it back the second time and seeing how many, like the 2 mistakes back to back. Man, but we need to talk about it. And then we'll talk about episode 4, which was a really good episode. There were some good episode moments with it. I went on the Discord briefly because right before I recorded this, Kelsey on the Discord was like, hey, when you're done with episode 4, read this. And so I did. We're going to talk about it when we get to episode 4 because I want to address it, but it is what it is. So we're going to get into it, but I want to dive into episode 3 and just talk about it here with you all in 3, 2, 1, and we're going to go into this. So yeah, getting into the episode here, the curveball, everything. The only issue I have with episode 3, is that there's a 3-minute recap. That is, if you include a 3-minute recap and then the intro. That is my only beef with episode 3. Everything else, great. But yeah, I was kind of like, and I get it. You're encapsulating all of the game into one episode. You've got to pad it out because there wasn't that much left. I get it. But at the same time, I was like, you could have shown some Arabe last week. And then we wouldn't have had that problem. But, I get it. I get it at all. I don't blame them for that. So yeah, let's get past this intro here. The path of the victor, man, it just hurts. What hurts the most is when a team gets stronger, and they were already strong to begin with. They get stronger, and then it's not enough. That's just, that's the worst part because you feel like you've done the thing that you're supposed to do. You've built yourself up into the team. You expect that reward. And life's not fair. It's not always guaranteed, that's for sure. So I felt for Yakushi in this. I talked about this extensively in the manga reactions. So if you want to, go on my YouTube channel, find the manga reactions. If you get done watching this and you want some more context of things that was left out, etc., go watch those manga reactions. There's a whole playlist on my YouTube channel for Ace of the Diamond. You'll find them there. But I remember talking about it then. Yakushi is one of my favorite teams. But I'm going to be honest, it's one of my favorite teams because of 3 people. Because of Sanada, Raichi, and Raizo. Like, they're the Todoroki father-son duo and Sanada, their soon-to-be son-in-law husband, are my 3 favorites of Yakushi. I have nothing against the other Yakushi members, but to me, as someone who's not like, Ace of Diamond's my favorite sports anime, but I'm not like living and breathing the characters 24/7. I don't remember them. And that's the thing. Like with Seidou, the cast is so broad and there's so much talent and we get so much focus with all of them. With Yakushi, you really just get those 3. And yeah, you got the catchers, you got the outfielders, but they've got a lot of young people on their team that have joined that, I just feel as if the breadth of talent is very concentrated with Yakushi, and it's not as spread out and balanced as some of the other teams. So the fact that Yakushi lost, I'm not surprised about. I'm just really sad because, especially Raichi is just this pure force. and you just want the best for him because he's so pure in his efforts and everything that he does, especially in comparison to Amahisa. I do like the catcher for Amahisa, though, Tamaki. Is that his name, Tamaki? I really like him because he kind of, it's really funny. People all the time say that on my channel that I'll just ship anything, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'll ship a lot of things. Or I'll see people have like an interaction and I'm like, that's a ship. And they're like, they've talked for 5 seconds. And I'm like, I know. And the chemistry in those 5 seconds were amazing. So I see the vision, but I'm like Raven Simone. I see the visions all the time. But there is, I'm very open to admit that there is like instant shipping, and then there's just bros. Just bros being bros. Male friendship. Just platonic friendship. We support it. We root for it. And Amahisa and his catcher, that is it. That's Sanada and his catcher. That is it, right? People always make the joke that like the pitchers and catchers are the ships, are the pairings. No. In Yakushi, it's Sanada and Raichi. It's the batter and pitcher for sure. I don't know if batters, if it's supposed to be like, I don't know if it's like a synonymous like asexuality or something. I view Raichi as literally baseball sexual, and that's it. He's kind of on the same frequency as Sawamura in some regards. But with the catcher for Amahisa, they're just bros. They're just friends. I don't ship them. But I do really like that he kind of holds Amahisa accountable, and he also kind of has faith in Amahisa. He like sees the pitches he wants and he goes, okay, you want that? Okay, sure. Like it's not like Mei and Itsuki. Mei and Itsuki and Mei and Harada are two different forces, two totally different batteries. But like Mei and Itsuki is constantly like kind of being challenged by Mei and having to like rein Mei in, whereas Harada was like, no, we're doing this. And Mei's like, I don't want to do it. And he's like, we're doing it. And he's like, fine. But then you have Sawamura and Miyuki's battery and Miyuki and Furuya's, which are very different. But I love seeing the batteries and how they are different. And Amahisa and his catcher, I like that his catcher is just like has faith in him, but also is like trying to figure out the genius as the game goes. And I respect it. I like it a lot. And Amahisa was a force in this game. Which blows my mind because he was such a force and then he was doubting himself. And I want to talk about that, but we're not there yet. It's such an interesting thing to bring up in a game like this. Because, yeah, Amahisa was just having the time of his life pitching to try to, like, get a rise out of Raichi and challenge him. Because he knows how good Raichi is. He knows how strong Raichi is as a batter. And then his catcher's like, okay, here's what he's doing. I just like how Amahisa and his catcher were kind of on the same page. And even when they were disagreeing and figuring it out, you could see in real time that they were trying to work through the strategy. And it was really interesting to see. Usually when the pitchers and their catchers disagree, people are like, oh, there's tension, or oh, there's like they're not getting along or something like this. With Amahisa and Tamaki, it was like, no, that's not it at all. He's like, I'm just trying to like, let's figure out the strategy together while I'm on the mound. And the catcher's like, okay, cool. This, okay, right, no, all right. They weren't like in disagreement. They were just sorting it out, which I think also helped with Ichidai having kind of the upper hand. Yakushi was getting the momentum, but Ichidai never lost steam, which makes him a formidable force. But yeah, I just love the fact that Amahisa, he gets that pitch in, and then I did not think, I was like, does Raichi hit it? And then he did. He just contacted it, like just straight on and went straight out. And I like that it didn't phase Amahisa, because we've seen Raichi's batting like that completely wipe out Sawamura. We've seen a bat like that from Inashiro completely obliterate Sawamura's confidence in pitching. And the fact that it didn't, the fact that they scored a run and Amahisa wasn't fazed by it, he was just like, okay, Raichi's a great batter. Can't do nothing about that. Let's just move on. I think says a lot, because Amahisa was able to move forward. But then later on, when Raichi makes the mistake, it nags at him and it eggs at him, and he just can't quite get over it. But yeah, I just look at how happy he is. Look at how happy. Like, they animated Raichi so good in this episode. When he was they would cut to him and he'd just be vibrating like a little gremlin. Like, he was just so happy. They did it to make the loss hurt even worse. They did it just to make us feel even worse when they lost. But yeah, that's one of my favorite, I think that's one of my favorite animated shots of Raichi I've ever seen. He looks so sweet there. Like, what a little baby. Love it. And it's not, I was like, that's right. That's right. Okay, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I feel, and I've not been able, they've moved all the manga to like, you have to pay for it now. They don't have the fan translation sites up yet, which is unfortunate because print it in English, damn it, and then I can support you for reals. But I cannot remember if was Sonata having an injury during this game? Was Sonata nursing some kind of injury or something holding him back during this game? Or does that come later? For some reason, in the manga, I thought that Sonata like had an injury or something was holding him back. They've not talked about it in this adaptation, so I don't know if that has happened, if it's in the manga, or if it's going to get talked about later, but for some reason, I felt that like Sonata had some difficulties, like being the pitcher in a full game. And that's why they brought in the other guy to pitch the first 2 innings to try to give Sonata more time to keep his strength up. But then like, I didn't know if, for some reason, I feel like Sonata and Furuya have like some commentary to come later down the road where maybe Sonata compares himself to Furuya. I don't remember. But I do remember that a conversation like that happening. So I can't quite recall how it went down, but yeah. And this just like sends my heart so much. Not that I'll give you a banana later, Raichi, of course, but just the fact that Raichi gets to base and he's just like memorizing, how did I hit that ball? Okay, I've got to cement it. I've got to get to me, got to get it in. Is Raichi neurodivergent? I think he is. He's at least that way. Like he's a savant with baseball. Like he's so hardcore focused on baseball that he can't really focus on other things, or like when he's not on the field, he's like kind of really socially awkward and doesn't know what to do. Like Precious Angel Bean. But I don't know. If you told me that, I would believe it. But, or maybe he just like, I don't know. I have an adult friend that has ADHD and they get hyper focused on one thing and then they get on something else and they're like, what was going on? Like, so I don't know. I'm not here. I'm not a social worker. I'm not here to diagnose Raichi in front of you all, but I love that he just is like memorizing it, putting it to memory. This is how I hit that ball. Let me save it in my bank. I'll pull it out later. I freaking love Raichi. I think what's so great about Raichi is that he's talented and he's a monster on the field, but he's never arrogant about it. Like he's so humble about, and I think it's because he's so simple. Like Raichi is simple, and that's not to shame him. I'm not saying he's dumb or anything, but he just very much is like, I love baseball. I know lots of things about baseball, and I live and breathe it because that's why I've grown up with it. And I don't really have any other hobbies. This is just all I do. And that's cool, but it makes him so innocent. Like he could easily be a little arrogant with how good he is. And a lot of baseball players we see in this series can get arrogant. Raichi is never arrogant. He's so pure. He's so sweet. He just wants to do his best for himself and his team. And I love Amahisa giving him his flowers, being like, okay, what a great guy. Like, Amahisa gets a lot of shade in this series. He gets a lot of shade, and I love to poke fun at him and give him a lot of crap, but Amahisa really is a nice guy. He just kind of comes across like he comes across kind of cocky sometimes. And he has moments where he is a little bit of a diva, like what we're going to see in a little bit. But he's actually a nice guy. I like Amahisa. And people like rag on him in this series within it that I'm like, oh, you guys shouldn't be mean to him. So he's like, yeah. And then Sonata's up. I really thought that Sonata was going to get struck out. I couldn't remember. And I was like, I couldn't remember how they lost. I was trying to be like, I've been so traumatized by the Yakushi loss. I've blocked a lot of it out of my mind. And I didn't go back and reread because I knew I was going to watch this season. But I was like, how did they lose? For some reason, I thought it was Sonata's fault. For some reason. Which it's not. It was Raichi that messed up. But I don't know. Which, you know what? That kind of puts a chip on Raichi's shoulder because he's going to be a third year. And it's like, what are we going to do? A lot of people give Raizo a lot of grief because he's made bad decisions in the past with his gambling and everything else. I interpret it a little bit differently than I think some people do, because Raizo's like, this is baseball and competition. He's like, do you want to see more of what lies beyond this, right? What's interesting is I don't hear a lot of arguments about this. I see some people could say that Raizo is forcing Raichi to be into baseball so much, because the thing about it is, when people say that Raizo's kind of forcing baseball upon Raichi, I kind of disagree, because I feel as it, we never really know if Rizzo was really good at baseball. We know he's played in community leagues and stuff. We know he's had a gambling problem. His wife left him, all that. But I always interpreted Rizzo as having good intentions and saying, Raichi, you have potential. You have a gift. We're going to nurture that gift, and you're going to end up doing better than myself and being able to do well for yourself and get yourself a good job. Because he's like, Rizzo's like, I'm not very smart. I can see you're not going to be an intelligent savant either. So let's just make you really good at baseball so that you can have a good potential career and have money and not be like faced with all this economic burden like I am from my bad choices. So I kind of respect Rizzo in the sense that he's trying to get Raichi to make good decisions, and he's trying to lead Raichi towards a path where he'll be successful and not end up in the same boat as his father. I kind of respect that. And so he's like, come on, Raichi, you want to keep going past this, right? You've got the potential. You can keep going. You can get that major deal. And I don't think Rizzo is doing it to help himself get money. He's doing it to secure Raichi as having money for himself so he doesn't end up, in a burdenous economic state. So yeah. But when Amahisa's like, luck's on my side today, I appreciated Amahisa's like, his attitude in the moment where he didn't get, he didn't feel like Raichi getting that hint was going to shut him down. He's like, it's fine. I've got luck on my side today. We're all good. But then he got a little too lax, and getting too lax allowed Sanada to hit the ball. And then he was like, oh, things are getting a little dicey. And I love Ichidai's coach. Ichidai's coach is one of my favorites. My boys! Like with his shooter fingers saying my boys. He's one of my favorites. He's also one of my favorites because he never gets like yelling at his team. He doesn't treat them poorly, but he's one of those guys like a big teddy bear, but all he has to do is give you a look. And he's like, you think that was good? But he doesn't have to. Inishiro's coach, I respect Inishiro's coach, but he's terrifying. If I was a player, I'd be terrified to play under him because he is a bit harsh. And I don't think that Ichidai's coach is harsh. I think he kind of gets to the emotional stakes of the character. Like here he's like, why'd you gift wrap him a pitch? But he doesn't yell. And he's like, here we go. I also like that Nabe and Okamura are watching this and kind of breaking things down. Now, again, I think they kind of went through a little bit here with explaining the one guy from Yakushi being able to, Mishima, fumbling the double play that got the second runner in. Also, look at our boys in their boyfriend t-shirts. And Miyuki's like, this is what happens when you take the lead early. There's a lot of pressure and everything. You can kind of tell that Sawamura, he wants to play Amahisa. I feel like Sawamura is conflicted because him and Raichi are friends. And he's like, oh, I'm rooting for Yakushi. But also he's like, I really want to see that pitch that Amahisa has. So guess we'll see how that goes. And then here we are. This scene here, though, every pitcher has an ego. Every pitcher has a little bit of an ego. It just depends on what volume. Are you maxed out Diva King May with the most ego possible? Are you Sawamura Sunshine Boy that says it's got some ego, but he's balanced. He's balanced, our boy is. Or are you like some of the other pitchers that are just like, I guess I'll do this, I feel like Sanada's not like that, but I feel like Sanada does not have a lot of ego. I really think Sanada is more on the low end of the ego spectrum. Sanada like has pride as a pitcher. He has a little bit of ego, but I just feel like he's never like, you don't see Sanada like bossing his catcher around or anything. Sanada and May are like polar opposites on that spectrum. Amahisa is like, to me, Amahisa is kind of in between like Sawamura and May. He's not so much of a diva, but he can be a little bit of a diva. And this part here, where he's talking about the mistakes that he made as he's like sitting back, he's like, I want to go home. It was that one hit that was so unnecessary. When he said this, how many times must I screw up? I'm so embarrassed. That's such a crazy moment to me because out in the field and on the surface, Amahisa looks like he's doing fantastic and he's having the best day and he's pitching up a storm. But to see on the inside behind the curtain, like off where no one can see him here in the dugout, him like being so hard on himself and saying like, I don't deserve to be here. I feel like that's such a testament to people who are really talented and just think that they're not good enough. And it's like, bullshit, you are. Like, what are you talking about? And I loved in this part of the episode where he's like, I just want to die. And then he sees slowly his teammates. I love that he starts out there on the back of the bench, like with the towel over his head. You can't see his face and everything. Then you see his mouth being kind of in awe that his teammate like is still. And here's the thing. I think what gets him is that his team doesn't hold it against him. They don't treat him like it's his fault that all this happens. Now the coach, is like, hey, you gift wrapped that pitch. You probably shouldn't have done that. But they don't get on to him. They don't get on to him. They don't yell at him. They're not like, oh, it's your fault. Like, no, they keep powering ahead and being a team. And Amahisa in this moment kind of embodies that phrase where people are like, the worst thing you can do is think that people care about how you are. And that's not to say that people don't care about you, but they're not sitting there wondering about your state of being 24/7. That's all you projecting internally. That's your inner saboteur trying to like make you second guess and mess up yourself. No, they're working ahead. They're doing what needs to be done. And I love that shot where he's just like, okay, my team they haven't given up yet. Like, why am I giving up? They haven't given up yet. And it just, to keep showing them fighting, like Hoshan and Hoshida and like all them, they're like, come on, one more time. And then to see him stand up and to see that they're like, come on, Ichidai, like to see Amahisa realize his team hasn't given up. They're not mad at him. They haven't given up yet. They're still trying to win. Like to see him go through that and to slowly walk into the sunlight from the dugout. Oh, it's so good. It's so subtle. It's so good. I love it. He's like, I get it. Summer is just still heating up. Yep. And then showing Hoshida trying to he makes it to first. He's safe. He got out. But yeah, that's one out. Number 2. Oh my gosh. These two, Raichi and Sanada, freaking love them. I love anytime they show Raichi in the background because he's just a gremlin. But yeah. And then he's like, what? Like shocked Pikachu face. Like put the shocked Pikachu meme right on this. And I feel like Pam from The Office. It's the same picture. It is. He's like, what? My team hasn't given up. They still want to win. I do love Sanada watching him pitch. Like Sanada being a pretty boy, but still not giving up. Ugh. Having some meat behind them bones. Love it. Todoroki's like, you rock, Sanada. And he's like, this moment where Amahisa kind of has this self-realization that he's the one freaking out. He's the one being all doom and gloom about it. Everybody else is just living their life on the field. And then this moment was so well done. Where the coach is like, look, I need a yes or a no. I need to know. You're over there sulking in the dugout. I want to know, my boy, do you still got fire to win this game like everybody else, or are you done? I have an important question. Answer me honest, yes or no. Is the fire still burning in your heart? He's like, everybody else on this team is fired up. What about you? You still got this? We still going? It's so good. Just pump up the jam. Get the jock jams going. Have them playing. God, that's such a great scene. I love it. And just the way, and again, I love his catcher is just standing there like, let's go. Let's do this. Like, God, it's good. I freaking love it. And then Amahisa's like, yes. That was so well done. So well done. Like, ready to go. At that moment when that happens, you kind of know that Yakushi's probably going to lose, but you still hold out hope. You still think maybe they'll make it through. We'll see, but he has them up and down. And I love Amahisa. He's probably one of my favorite pitchers in the series. I really love him. I love how he started out being described as a poet, and his friends kind of described him as this like frat boy guy that kind of like ditched class and wasn't really seriously into the game. And then as time has gone on, he's really gotten into it, and he's really dedicated himself to it. And it's kind of cool to see him hit his stride and find where he's best at. Like you want to root for him. Which is unfortunate because you also want to root for Yakushi. Like he goes out on a high And Sonata, of course, is like, respect, bro. Like, what else can we do? Like, respect the game, respect the player. Like, And he tries. There was one shot of Sonata, though, that looked incredible. And I mean, and Amahisa, here's the thing. I cannot wait for Miyuki to be so pissed about Amahisa. I can't wait! But, one thing about Amahisa is this man will give you credit. That is a big distinction between him and Mei. Mei, you have to like hold Mei down, dangle him above the edge of a cliff, and threaten to throw him off to his death before Mei will be like, yeah, I guess you were okay. Whereas Amahisa's like, oh my God, he's amazing. He's so great. He's great. It makes me so sad he gets so much shit from everybody in the series when Mei is out here being like, I guess, trash. I love Amahisa because he gives credit where credit's due. You know? And then, yeah, Amahisa versus Sonata. Again, that's where I thought the game was going to end because, oof indeed. But, you know, put the pretty boy up against the genius. And so they're like, Amahisa. And the fact that they set this all up because Amahisa had not done anything on the plate. And if you were going to do something, now is the time. The timing of it is perfect. It's like, y'all, like you're just waiting for it to happen. You're waiting for something to happen. And the way they've set it up is that Ichidai needed to win in this inning. Could Ichidai have still won if they didn't score in this inning? I think they still could have. I very much think they could have still got 3 up, 3 down in the 10th, came back and scored the following inning. I think they could have done it. I wouldn't. Ichidai is good enough. You can't say they wouldn't have. However, considering that whoever scores first in overtime wins, and you put Todoroki and Sonata and all of them up to bat, there's a really good chance they could have scored in the next inning and won the whole thing. You just don't know. Baseball's unpredictable in that sense. You just can't make assumptions because you don't know what it's going to be like. You got to focus on the now and being in the present. That shot, that shot of Sonata like that and Furuya like he is in the next episode, show some mercy. Nah, bitch. I love that. I love that Sonata is not egotistical like Mei, and he's not like full of himself, but Sonata is also like very serious. Like Komiya is perfect to play him. Like he's very serious and he's like, oh no, I'm not showing mercy. We're going to play this. So, it's so good. Picking a thumbnail is going to be freaking hard for this episode, by the way. I don't want to do the Raichi cry because I feel like that's spoilers and that's too obvious, but I don't know. There's so many good shots to pick from. But yeah, and then the head slide, they didn't make as much of a big deal about this as I feel like they've made in other seasons. In other seasons, the head slide, I mean, they made a little bit of a big deal about it, but in other seasons, the head slide was kind of a big deal because, like, you can seriously hurt yourself. You can seriously hurt yourself with the head slide. I feel like he took a big gamble there. And what I like about it is what the coach, like Sonata's just like, that was a choice. Okay, well, we're going to move on from that. And he's safe. And I mean, like, Amahisa, again, sheer will. I mean, I love that he pulled it all together, got over his diva self for that moment. But yeah, in that moment, I like that the coach is like, that was not what I wanted, but I appreciate the sentiment. I'm glad that the coach wasn't like, yeah, good job. He was like, you could have really hurt yourself and we may need you for like multiple games after this. So don't do that. So I feel like that was, that's the kind of mentality you have to have. I love their coach so much. He's great. And then they're like, Fukushima, my boy. He's like, oh my God. I love that half the players on their team, when everybody's like, my boy, are you ready to go? And he's like, yes, sir. Him and, what's his face? Chimusa or whatnot, the guy that comes up at the very end that wins the game for them. He always looks sad. He has like perpetual despair face. But yeah, Fukushima is like, oh God. And then everybody's like, one more out. Just all they needed was one more out. And that's what makes this so heartbreaking, is that Raichi just needed if he had done any of those two plays fine, it would have been over. And it could have potentially been over for the whole game if they'd scored the next inning. That's what makes it hurt so much. And the fact that he's like, I want to go back to play. And that's the moment. I know I talked about it in the manga, but you have to be present. I tell that to the team I coach all the time because you cannot be focused on the future. You have to be present in the moment or you will lose focus and mistakes will happen. Because a lot of the people I coach, you know, they have 3 like preliminary rounds and then they have a final round, and some of them get in their head. They're like, "Oh, I just got to make it to finals." And I'm like, "You can't make it to finals unless you do the thing here in the now, in the prelims." So I feel like that was Raichi's biggest hindrance is he was so eager and hasty to get back to bat. He wasn't fully on point in the field. And that caused a mistake to happen. And we're all human, but it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that he goes to get it and it bounces off the glove. Oh, it's heartbreaking. And what makes it even more heartbreaking is that Raichi... Chimaru, the perpetual despair face. The worst part is that the part that's so heartbreaking is that Raichi is so kind of like thrown off by this moment, like, oh shit, what did I do? And Sanada's like, hey, what makes it worse, and everybody's like, it's okay, Raichi. They're like, one more out. We got this. It's all fine. Don't worry about it. Sanada's trying to do damage control because Sanada knows that Raichi hyperfixates on things, and Sanada's like, oh, we ain't got time to fixate on mistake. We ain't got time to fixate on that. You need to get your head back in the game. It's okay. Let's move forward. And everyone else kind of has that same understanding as well. They all look like, they're like, it's okay, Raichi. Let's just focus on what we got to do. Wipe it clean. It's all forgotten. It's just 2 outs. And while that's meant to be like helpful, and it is helpful, it also is like kind of a double-edged sword because it also kind of makes you feel guiltier. Like, are you guys just saying this to sympathize? Oh, I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad for him in this moment. And just Sanada looking so supportive, like, hey, we got this. I'm counting on you. And I get that it's meant to be a good sentiment. He's like, I'm counting on you in the field. I'm counting on you up to bat. Like, putting all that pressure on Raichi. And that's kind of why I think that's what makes Seidou such a formidable team. That's such a good overall team to do well in Koshin, is that there's so much pressure in these games, and putting it all on one person, unless you're Narumiya Mei, who thrives off of the pressure, who thrives on the attention, unless you're somebody like him, it can really be too much. And I think it got to be too much for Raichi. I think that the pressure just got to be too much on him and Sanada, and it just caused it to collapse without even realizing it until it was too late. Whereas Seidou has enough people that are talented to throw the pressure around that it ends up working, and damn. And the thing is, Sanada threw the ball and he hit it. So you can't blame it all on Raichi. It was Sanada's pitch that he managed to hit too. It's like your dynamic duo ends up being the reason that they lost. And there's, no shame in that, but damn. And to miss it. And I love the idea that they're like, you can win. You can do all of these great things, but that's only if you win. And I guess it's not all Raichi and Sanada's fault as well. Those outfielders, they didn't get to it in time as well. Oof. But damn. Them's the breaks. I think the biggest part of it all is at the very end as Inishiro's celebrating. Like Todoroki, the coach, he is upset. He's not crying, but you can just see how he's upset in that moment. But the fact that everyone else on the team is crying, but Sanada is the captain. He's the ace. He takes it all in stride. It's one of those moments where he's like, I can't afford to cry because I need to be strong for my team, and I need to be double strong for Raichi because he knows how hard this is going to hurt Raichi. Oh. And when he goes to pick him up off the ground, he's like, I'm sorry. I couldn't stop them. Like, damn it! Ah! It hurts just as much animated as it does in the manga. It hurts just as much. It's not fun. It's just, And even the crowd cheering for them at the end, being like, hey, you guys gave it your all. 3-2, Yakushi. Damn. So anyway, then we have episode 4, which is a great episode. So we go back, got that. They show us him crying again because they enjoy feeding off of our tears, as one does. And we cut back to July 17th. You almost need like a chart to keep track of the days and everything. I love that Sawamura looks like a mob boss here. Sawamura looks like they've gathered to discuss who we're taking out next in the war. And so, yeah, Todoroki's error changed the momentum. But if they'd gone into extras, it could have gone either way. Yeah, it's a little bit much. The winning this clash will give Ichidai more momentum and make them a fearsome foe. And Amahisa was on another level. So, he has this new pitch. A 2-seam gyro ball. It's a breaking ball that curves less than a slider. And Amahisa's like, the new pitch he was talking about. Yeah, the one we talked about through text. And then Miyuki's like, gyro ball? You gotta be kidding. That sounds a lot like what Sawamura was asking about the other day. And I've been waiting to see this animated. I do think that it's cool that Miyuki points out that it is a major league pitch that is not usually used by high schoolers. Amahisa's a genius. Are we surprised? I love Furuya is instantly like, oh, major league, you say? And Sawamura, of course, is like, I need to see it. I need to see it myself. And so then Nabe, the confrontation, like this poor man, Sawamura gets ragged on so much about not texting Wakana enough and now texting Amahisa like he can't have friends outside the team. How dare you talk to the enemy, Sawamura? I like Zono's just sitting there like, yeah, how dare you talk to the enemy? And Koshu's like, I told him everything. He's like Nabe, like they're getting onto him and cornering him, being like, you've been texting him, haven't you? What have you talked about? And everybody's like, what? I like that Nori's like, what? And the other catcher's like, what? And then I need you to look at Miyuki the entire time with his glasses where you don't see through them. Like Sawamura and Amahisa are in contact? What? Like it's such a revolutionary thing that Sawamura has friends outside the team. Yeah. Miyuki's face! That is the most, like, heartbroken face Miyuki's ever given on this show. Like, how long is this, like, Ace's song, How Long, is playing in the background for all of this? Oh, my God. Yeah, and I love that Kuramochi's like, I've been trying to hook you up with Miyuki for how many years now, and you're cheating on him with Amahisa? What is this? An unexpected pairing. Oh, man, the fuel. And he's like, it wasn't my idea. To be fair, Amahisa has been texting him and Raichi of their own accord. He's like, he just kept bugging me after the spring tournament. I just love how Miyuki looks in this. It's amazing. Yeah. I didn't even text him all that often. We know, Sawamura. Yeah. It's your gyro questions. Why? Why y'all giving him a hard time? And then Kuramochi, did you talk to the guy about his new pitch or not? Oh my God. Even Haruichi looks like Ryu in this moment. Like, that's just insane. Sawamura catching... Y'all are going to get to where Sawamura becomes a Luddite and just abandons all technology. And then Furuya's over here like, we didn't talk about pitches. Love it. He's like, I can't talk about it. This went down a private discussion. I do love that he's like, we talked man to man. I can't go telling other people about it. We're rivals, but we're also men. Sawamura is a gentleman through and through. I need the fan fiction where Miyuki is like, he's like, we can't have Sawamura talk with any pitchers. Otherwise he'll treat it like a private conversation. It will do you no good. God, it's so funny. Yeah. I like Koshu's over here like, a code to maintain. Like, Koshu's like, I'm going to be hearing all of this later on from Miyuki. Yeah, so we're other people. And Sawamura was like, dig his own grave. Dig his own grave. God. And then they just try to get his cell phone. To be fair, the birthday being the password, I get it. I like that Mochi's the villain. You take forever to proper punctuation and everything. I like that we have to have a council to prove that Sawamura's not cheating on Miyuki. To be like, oh no, actually there were no nudes, proper punctuation, full grammar. They weren't hitting it off. It's okay, Miyuki. We're all good now. God. How did it come to this? And he's like, you really do pay respect. I love that Koshu's like, wow, you actually really are respectful. I think a little bit better of you now. Love it. That's so damn funny. So damn funny. So anyway, so we prep for the match against Sosei, the quarterfinal. I forgot all about these matches. I was so excited and ready to go into the semifinal. I forgot that none of these teams had made the semifinal yet. So, which is crazy. The fact that Yakushi and Seidou, the fact that Yakushi and Ichidai was not the quarterfinal is crazy. The fact that was just a match to get there, insane. Like that's how crazy Koshin can get, right? So they're like, Furuya's gonna start in this one. Everybody's practicing. We're doing free training, all of that to get through Sosei's ironclad defense. And then we have this conversation. I thought for a second we were like jumping to the conversation that I think's at the end of this season. And I was like, ooh, but we're not. Yeah. What I do like about this conversation that Miyuki has with Furuya is that Furuya kind of gets an idea that Miyuki trusts Sawamura. He's like, if he pitches against Oji like he did, he'll be fine. It's hard to get a read on Furuya's condition. He's like, what do you think of Ajun's pitching against Norikane? And that's when he gets sent in. I love how Sawamura is so polite to Kataoka. He's just like, yes, sir, of course, sir. This humble Sawamura Ajun. It's like, sir, you don't have to be so formal. But he is, because he's very respectful of Kataoka. So they send Sawamura and Koshu to go watch the games that Inashiro and Nabe goes too. The Inashiro and Ichidai are doing. They go send them to watch the quarterfinals for each of those teams, which is a smart move. Sawamura does not need to be at Sosei's game. If they're going to pitch Furuya all day and they have Nori in the background, they're going to be fine. They're fine. So send Sawamura to go do some research. Boy needs to do some research. So send him, which we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. So that makes sense. But Miyuki is a strategist. Miyuki has figured out, even though it is kind of funny, Sawamura still surprises Miyuki sometimes. And I think that's what draws Miyuki to Sawamura so much. But Sawamura and Miyuki are like, they've got a good thing going. And as long as Miyuki kind of knows what Sawamura is thinking and plays into it, he knows that they're going to be fine. Furuya can be kind of hard to read because he's so quiet and he's not an open book like Sawamura. So I like in the moment where this moment here, this is Miyuki scheming. This is Miyuki being a catcher who has his hands full with too many good pitchers. That is such what a face when he's like, he worked himself up and went too hard. His line looked good, but I haven't changed my estimation from his first game. He says, I hope he'll find a way to ease up a bit. But our opponents are just going to get tougher moving forward. But I felt his will to drive his opponent to the ground. So, I mean, Furuya feels like he's kind of like, oh, Miyuki is being quite, upfront about all of this, saying that Sawamura has some ways to go, but he has the drive to get it done. And I like that Miyuki's like, look, that's his ego. He knows he's still got a ways to go, but he's willing to go the distance and get there. He's like, I know that he can do it. And so now he's like, it's your turn. You're up next. He throws the gauntlet. I like that Miyuki's like, he throws the gauntlet down to Furuya. He doesn't just praise Furuya. He's like, here's my expectations for Sawamura. He's meeting him. How about you? And Furuya throws it down to do the same. Love that. So, yeah. Inashiro and Taseyama, Hisa, and Mei like that is great. I'm glad we're at least seeing part of them in this season and they're not just like rushed in at the very end. So he decides to undertake this mission to his humblest ability. So we have the first two semifinal slots. We have Seiko and Sensen. To be fair, I forgot all about Seiko. I feel like any of the teams that face Inashiro is, I think of Kuroko's basketball, the team that Akashi's on. I can't think of its name at the exact moment. My mind has gone blank. I'm in baseball mode. But I think of like any team that they faced in Kuroko's basketball, it was like, why bother? Because you knew they were going to win. It feels that way with Inashiro. You know they're going to win, right? Like, these guys tried. They really did. But it's frickin' Mei Narumiya. When you got Yuki Kaji voicing somebody, you know. You just know. And Sawamura's like, okay. I honestly love Mei and Sawamura's, like, dynamic, because Sawamura looks up to Mei and he respects him. Mei doesn't want to acknowledge Sawamura on his radar, which has me very excited for what's to come. But yeah, Inashiro, they kind of just did really, really good. Okay, my only animation complaint is I think they focused a little bit too much on this exchange. The exchange between Narumiya and him, the back and forth shots, I think they could have sped that up just a little bit. That's my only complaint, but not surprised that they took the lead. I wish we'd had a little bit more with Inashiro in this moment to give us a little bit more of a preview, but because Mei's got a chip on his shoulder. Mei has a chip on his shoulder from their loss earlier in the year, back in the other tournament. So I feel against Yakushi, right? So I feel like Mei has a chip on his shoulder that he needs to do well. I also wanted to see Itsuki, but fine, whatever. We're going to save that. But you could just tell Sawamura, he had the Arthur grab here. Like Sawamura was just, he is inspired, I feel, by Mei and Amahisa. So then we had Amahisa. And what sucks is that Sawamura came all that way to see him pitch, and he didn't at all. They kept him on the bench, which shows how strong Ichidai is, that they don't have to rely on their ace pitcher and can still beat a team like Simpson. So there you go. Honestly, for some reason, I wanted to say that there was more with Simpson in this matchup, but I don't remember. And to be quite honest with you, I don't feel bad for skipping some of the Simpson. Look, I don't feel bad if they cut stuff from this particular game with Ichidai versus Simpson. Amahisa's not up to bat. He's not pitching. I like Maki a lot, but I'm fine with it. If you had to cut it for time, I don't think we missed anything. I think it's perfectly fine. I mean, feel bad for them, but also Amahisa calling the pretty boy pitcher. He's got like the really good hair on Ichidai's team. He's like, "You're our biological weapon." He's like, "What?" Amahisa's trying to use some science slang, and this guy's like, "Is that an insult or a compliment or both? I don't know. What are we doing?" So yeah, this part here though, where Nabe and Koshu are like, you know, what do we do about Amahisa? You know, he seems pretty good from start to finish. And then Sawamura, as he's biting on his thumb, is like, the lack of swinging strikes makes them tough for sure. But if you can force them into a weak contact. And Koshu's like, what? The fact that Sawamura is a strategist. The fact that Sawamura has it in him to be a strategist. I think that Amahisa and Sawamura surprise people all the time. Because like Miyuki and Mei are smart and they are strategists, and you know that from the get-go. Like, you're not surprised when you find that out. But Amahisa, he kind of came across at the beginning of the series kind of aloof and like pretty boy, and then you find out, no, he's actually a genius and he's not lying about that. And then Sawamura, you find out he is actually a pretty good strategizer, which makes sense if he has all these different numbered pitches. And Koshu's just like, wait, what? It's like if you've been... It's as if it's the day of the ACT standardized test and the guy sitting next to you suddenly reveals he's been studying for 15 hours straight a day for the last 6 months. And you're like, wait, when did that happen? So that's like his... And even Nabe's like, what? You haven't let them hit the ball. You've made them hit it. Like, both of them are like, hold on, Sawamura. Don't do anything else. Keep these thoughts. We have to tell Miyuki. Yeah, because Nabe is amazed. And then Koshu's like, okay, could you bait them with pitches into the zone? He's like, well, it's easier said than done. Like, where did this come from? You just have to needle the thread really fine. You have to thread the needle real fine. And then Koshu's like, wait, can you do that? He's like, well, I'll stake my life. He's like, I'll stake my life on trying, actually. That's so cute. And he's like, I have to vary up the pitching and make a moving target. And Koshu's like, so if you say that, could you throw sliders and curves? And Sawamura's like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. I've been wanting to do that for so long. And he's like, oh, well, do you want to catch me? And Nabe's like, hey, hold on. Miyuki did not say you could do that. I love that Nabe's looking out for Miyuki even then. But this has me so excited because Miyuki's a third year. He's going to retire. The possibilities of, that Koshu hangs on every word Sawamura says. And this has just increased that 1,000-fold. So now Sawamura's being like, can you catch my pitches if I give them to you? And Koshu's like, He's a loyal dog. He will do it. I'm like, and then Nabe's like, hey, wait a minute. Miyuki didn't say we could be doing any of that. He's the captain, so I don't know. He's like, I can't promise, but if you can catch, let's do it. And Nabe's like, okay, we're going to build this momentum. They don't have us beat. We're in no way inferior. I freaking love that mentality. I love that. I love that Sawamura's like, we're fine. We've got this. They got nothing on us. I'm like, yes. It's just so good, right? So then, July 23rd, we have Seidou versus Sosei, and Ichidai Surugashima versus Kokadai Sagata. Doesn't matter who wins that one. They're going to lose to Inashiro. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Do we even care? Doesn't matter. But Sosei versus Seidou. Now, we only have like 10 minutes of this game left to get through. The batting order, Kuramochi, Kaminato, Shirasu, Miyuki, Maizono, Furuya, Tojo, Yuki, and Kanemaru. And then we also had, oh wow. Okay, so Yuki was like first batter, I think. And then we had all of the other ones that are there. I'm going to be honest. I did not remember Seiso. Did not remember them. I remember the pretty boy pitcher. I remember Nagita. I remember him because he has a very distinct look and he's very pretty. But I don't remember a lot about him. So yeah, don't remember a lot about him. It's just mainly give me your best pitching. I will say this game did feel like more of a highlight reel, to be honest. I'm not mad at it because I want to get to the semifinal. I'm not mad at it, but I know if you're like really into this game in the manga, then I could understand. Also seeing the third years, seeing Chris Senpai, aka Jesus, alongside his other disciples is really great. Ryu's not a disciple though, he's just there. So yeah, Chris seeing him in person. The reporters look like they were just stuck in a basement. I know they're like under the stadium, but yeah, they're just hanging out in the wings. So yeah, also Sawamura rooting him on from the sidelines, exhaling through his nose the entire time. That was great. Yeah, and then Kawakami practicing with Koshu, always. Love that. What a great time for Koshu getting experience too. So I do think that is one thing that sets Seidou's team apart. And it's kind of the big rivalry and the big turning point between Kataoka's mentality of coaching and Inashiro's. And that is the idea of having an ace like Narumiya who can close out a game, who is strong enough to take on the mantle of king and ace and pitch the entire time successfully and not have any issues. And the idea of having a rotating pitching squad that are all capable of doing the same. And on the surface, this is a lot more work. It is a lot more work to get 3 pitchers who are equal to similar power ranges that can match the one that's built up all this XP. Like, this is the harder route, but if it's successful, it can outdo this route. And that's the big, testament of when we get there, what is going to be the stronger bout. And I think that Miyuki finding out that Sawamura and Furuya are equally comparable in their skills, just in different ways. Like, you won the lottery. Kawakami was great on his own, but you won the lottery getting to catch for Furuya and Sawamura, in addition to Kawakami as well. And it's smart. I love it. I love this strategy. I mean, Furuya, I'm going to be honest. Furuya is, I don't find Furuya, his pitching boring by any means, but it is what it is. It is meat and potatoes. It is bread and butter. It's a damn fastball that's really fast and impressive. But then it's like, okay, this is just my bias. I'm more into Sawamura because of all the pitching strategies and the opportunities and the options you can do. But that's not to take away from Furuya. He's great. He's powerful. But you kind of you see him pitch and you're like, wow, that's impressive. that's impressive, you know? That is a great shot of him, though. He kind of has the same eyes like Sonata in that moment. Really love that. Love that a lot. That's a great shot of him. I don't think I'd make it the thumbnail because it's not the full episode. But yeah, Nagira. Nagira is the pitcher for Seidou, and he's fine. And I do think that Miyuki brings up a great point. However, Furuya's fastball is a barometer of how he is doing in the game. If that fastball is out of control or out of line, something's up with Furuya, and you probably should take note of it. But if it's solid and striking and true, he's good. He's good to go. And then this moment here, Sawamura's like, nice bazooka, you forced him into submission. Yeah, I like that Ryu's like loud as ever. And Chris is nice about it. He's like, you can pick him out of a crowd. I love that Furuya and Miyuki are like, what are you doing? Should we be tricked? Is this a trick? Sawamura's like, I'm giving you water. Be gracious to me. Be gracious to this humble Sawamura. But how far they've come, like from Sawamura being jealous of Furuya and being mad he couldn't pitch to accepting the fact that Furuya is strong and it makes him stronger as a rival and that they are working together on a team. I love that. He's like, shut up and watch from the bench. And Sawamura's like, Yep, he's not bothered at all. He can pull it off today. Now, I do think they've cut some stuff out of the Seidou game, especially with the lavender-haired guy who looks like if Shirasu and Trunks from Dragon Ball Z had a love child, that's what he looks like. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not totally mad that the stuff was cut. Do I think that these first couple episodes are manga bait? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Go watch the games. Yuki hitting the home run was great too, though. There was one moment that I do wish had a little bit more, like, praise to it because what a play it was. And that is the moment that they hit the ball, like, and Kuramochi, Haruichi, he threw it, the guy hit it, and then it went past Furuya. And in the manga, this was so epic. But yeah, went to Kaminado. It hit him and then went straight to Mochi. And then he got it and threw it back. That combo. Which, in real life, that's what it would have been like. It was like, boop, boop, throw, done. But damn, that was so cool in the manga. That was such a good moment. Yes. And everybody was just like, they're like, the people in the bleachers were captivated. And it just shows one guy moving. You know, but I love that Ryu is not impressed. He's not surprised. He's just like, yeah, that's what they do. Honestly, if you get a chance, go look at that scene in the manga. Go check it out. It is so, so worth it. So worth it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they did a great job just getting through this game. They could have shown more, but then what else would we have done? I guess they could have cut a bit of the recap out in the beginning. He's like, I know the defenders can handle it. And then from this moment here, I love that one of my favorite points in this is when Furuya takes off towards the dugout to let Nori come on and Sawamura is cheering him on. Like, the sportsmanship that he shows in this moment, he's like, that's what makes you my rival. Your presence here will make me stronger. I love that. Sawamura is such an inspiration because it's so easy to be jealous of people that get to have the spotlight when you think you should have it and that are talented, and it can make you have like an inferiority complex. It can make you have imposter syndrome. And Sawamura being so inspiring by just saying like, no, you're great, but we're on the same team. So we'll make this, you make me better and I make you better. And Furuya saying like, I have a long way to go, but his presence here will make me better too. I would make that the thumbnail as well. That's just, I love that. I love how different these two men are, but they're both so talented and they're both strong in their own right. Warm fuzzies all around. Love that. Love that. And then Nori comes up and Miyuki's like, we got this in the bag. We are good to go. Nori's so reliable. I love him. Yep. The presence was the confidence that we needed. And then poor Seidou. Poor Seidou. Third year, 7-1 victory. Moving on to the semifinals. And the third years are so excited to see Sawamura pitch. Oh, y'all have no idea. Y'all have no idea. Ugh. Okay, so Kelsey sent me this tweet that was from the Daya official channel, and so I'm going to show you all it. It says, episode 4 is finished. Thank you so much. This is as far as I helped out with the storyboarding. From here on, it should proceed exactly as in the original work. This was a decision to avoid making everything feel watered down. The match ended before OB even got to sit down. So Say Hi is a great team, so if you're interested, definitely check out the manga version. And that's from TJ on the official channel. And so I've seen a variety of different, responses to it. And some people are like, oh, it's too late. You know, the first 4 episodes were so rushed. Like, I don't think it's going to be worth it at the end. I don't like those people. I'm like, you're supposed to be supporting the channel. Like, he explained it, said what they had to do. It doesn't help you to be like, oh, don't watch. I'm like, do you not want them to animate any more of it? Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? But then, like, some other people that are like, thank you. We're glad we can experience the anime. I'm glad that they're not cutting anymore. Me too. Glad that they're going to let... and then somebody said, I heard episodes 1, 2, and 3 were heavily cut, so I ended up buying the manga just like that. I was truly happy. Even a side story would be fine, so I'm waiting for a sequel no matter how many years it takes. And that's the thing. Like, I'm glad that it is encouraging people to read the manga and see what it looks like on the page. I'm glad it's doing that. I don't think that was necessarily the intent. I think that they were just given so many episodes to work with, and here's what they had to do. So I would encourage everybody watching this to please support the series, especially if you want to see them animate the rest of the games and do it right, because if they don't get the support and they don't have the numbers to back it up, then studios won't care. They're just gonna be like, nah, we're not gonna do it. Or worse, they'll put it in a condensed form, and who wants that? Speaking from experience seeing that, nobody wants that. So yeah, I honestly feel if you were anime only, you wouldn't notice. I haven't read the manga in years now, so when I watched episode 4, I didn't notice all the content that was cut from Sosei. I really didn't, because I knew what I wanted to get to. So it's like, I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, if you're an anime only person watching this, I don't think you would even notice. And if people tell you to go back and look at the manga, then go back and look at the manga. Like, the hate that people give Terajima, who has given you this series, who is working with the actual studio to get things to where they need to be, like, show some respect. Show some respect. You're probably not even paying to watch, you're probably watching a free version of it. So it's like, are you really? What are you doing? What are you getting out of it? So I don't know. Anyway, I am really excited about episode 5. From here on, I'm going to watch one episode at a time, I guess. I thought about asking in the May update video if people wanted me to do 2 episodes at a time and just like skip a week and put like an extra on the channel or something as we wait for the other episodes to come out. I'm going to leave that up to you if that's what you all want. If you want me to skip a week and do 2 episodes at a time, I can. Or I can do 1 episode per week and have a discussion with that. We'll see. But in any case, I'm super excited to hear your comments down below. Please do me a favor, like this video, comment if you got any things to say, and otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Ace of the Diamond Act 2, Season 2, and I'll see you then. Bye!